Hey everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of the Sports Plug with Xavier Williams and my guy Ishmael Siryon.
What up?
Already, if you are checking everything out on Twitter, please make sure you follow X underscore Williams 81. I do apologize a little early in the morning. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast so more people can check it out. And if you are on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe this broadcast and also press the notification bell to get our other shows in the future. So, if you checked out everything on Sunday, we did our Week 13 preview. Of course, you are joining us on a Wednesday morning to check out our Week 13 recap, and we will get straight into everything with the Texans and the Colts. The Colts ended up pulling out that game 26-20 against the Texans. If you did join us in our pre-show, we definitely did talk about the Texans. We thought the Texans would be able to pull out a victory against the Colts. They almost did, but just by a botched snap fumble by Deshaun Watson to end the game. If you were checking out that game here in Houston, you saw that last moment that Deshaun Watson had on the bench with his head down and his towel over his head and didn't even want to shake anybody's hand, not because of bad sportsmanship, but just because of the hunger to win and just being devastated by putting in all this work for this week and losing the game.
Yeah, man, it was a rough one for the Texans. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we were looking at the Colts' remaining schedule, and we saw that they had to play the Texans, I think, twice.
Twice in 3 weeks.
We were like, man, this could be a trap game for the Colts because the Texans, they're actually starting to play well under Romeo Crennel. They're looking a lot better. Not necessarily like a winning team, but they do look like a team that could sneak up and beat some people when on their day. And I mean, they had opportunities in this game to beat the Colts, and unfortunately, just couldn't pull it out in the end. That, like you said, that botched snap, which, man, you got to feel for Deshaun Watson and all the effort he put into that last drive and the offense. They really turned it around there, and then just to have a botched snap really cause you the game. That's sad, man.
But let's be real though. We know that it was a bad snap, but we've seen Deshaun Watson make those type of efforts to get the ball either low or high. So I think that is the reason why he felt so hard on himself, because he knew that was a snap that he's caught a million times before, either in practice or in the game, and he should have been able to finish off the game. Where I'm not going to put the blame on Deshaun Watson because he's had a hell of a year this year, and this was a game that probably got away from him. They had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to win this one in the last seconds, but this whole season is the way that Deshaun Watson looked on the bench. That is the way that the Texans season has gone this whole year, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. It's just one of those years for them. Like, you just have those times where you're supposed to win and you can't do it, or something happens and it's out of your hands. It just seems like it's just one of those years where just bad things happen and they're not able to pull out these games. And I think there are a couple teams like that, like the Panthers, like we said all year.
Panthers, the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, except the Chargers not this week.
Yeah, not this week. And we'll get into them real soon as well. Another team that had the victory in their hands and let it go with an all-out blitz. And the team that went out with that all-out blitz went ahead and let their defensive coordinator go as well. We're talking about the New York Jets and defensive coordinator Greg Williams. The Jets had their first win of the season. Again, we talked about this in the pre-show. We said that the Jets would, maybe could be able to pull off a victory against the Raiders because of the way the Raiders looked in Atlanta the week before. And the Raiders pull off, or I should say, let me take it back. The Jets pull off a Atlanta Falcons meltdown and end up losing a game that they should have probably won on a 59-yard Hail Mary to Ruggs and whatnot to win the game. I mean, that was... It was amazing to watch because you just have to feel bad. You just have to feel so bad, honestly, for the Jets players, not the organization, but the players.
I mean, let me just say this: I understand that the game's not over until the time is up, right? But they have won that game. let's be honest, where the ball was at like the 40-something yard line with 5 or 6 seconds left, they had won that game. And to call an all-out blitz, I mean, I'm confused. Anybody that's been on a coaching staff before, I haven't coached at an elite level, but I've coached a pretty good, youth level. And anybody that's been on a coaching staff, in these types of situations, as a coaching staff, you are talking to each other and saying, like, what should we call? What are we confident in? What do we need to do? I don't know what it's like at the NFL level, but you should be talking to each other, right? So I'm a little confused why Greg Williams gets fired and Adam Gase doesn't take any heat for this, because I feel like as the head coach, if he's calling an all-out blitz, I know you on the comms and you can hear what the man is calling. Are you not over there like, bruh, what are you doing? Like, no, put everybody in the end zone. I don't care what you do. They had no timeouts. Like,
no, you're 100% correct. Everything that you're saying, you are correct, Ish, and the people that are listening right now, I'm pretty sure they cannot say that you are wrong. The one thing I will say is Adam Gase, for being able to go from the Miami Dolphins to run that program into the ground and then go to the Jets and be 0-12 at this moment and still have a job.
He's an imposter.
I mean, it is just very eye-opening and just very disappointing, because when we keep talking about how there's no parity in NFL, I'm not talking about black or white. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about good NFL coaches, like head coaches. Where are the good NFL head coaches? It seems like a lot of these guys have fallen to the wayside, and there's only maybe a handful of good head coaches nowadays.
And the problem that is really evident is they continue to use some of these guys who failed before,
yes,
and then they bring them into another opportunity,
and they fail again.
Another opportunity,
and they fail again.
And it's like, why? Why do we keep doing that? Why don't we give some of these coordinators who maybe don't have the head coaching experience a chance? Because
that's the only way you're going to be able to do anything, is you have to get the experience, correct? Just like it's any job, right?
But you couldn't. I mean, it couldn't be any worse than what Adam Gase has done. Adam Gase, yes, he has head coaching experience, but he comes into the Jets, and what has he done there other than completely run the team into the ground, to the point where I honestly think they were tanking. They wanted to tank that game, and they just didn't want it to come out, or they didn't want it to seem like they were tanking. So Greg Williams ended up being the scapegoat, because that's the only thing I can see why somebody would call it all-out blitz at the NFL level on a coaching staff with that time left, with your opponent not having a timeout. And I mean,
I will say this. I guess what they could have thought was maybe they would catch it underneath, we could tackle them, and the clock would run out. But they ran a stop and go. So here's my problem. Here's my problem. The cornerback, even though he's a undrafted undrafted practice squad rookie that was in place at that position.
It doesn't matter. Everybody, at the high school level, in that situation, you don't bite on a double move.
That's what I was going to get at. That's what I'm going to get at. You're correct, Ish. You're correct. And for him not to have the IQ at that moment to understand and realize, why in the hell am I biting on a 10-yard route? Like, that's what I didn't understand. Like, why are you biting on a 10-yard route? You didn't even touch him. You let him run right by you. What did you expect was going to happen? This is one of the fastest guys in the league.
I still think it's coaching. I still think, like, at the end of the day, you got to be over there on the sideline yelling to your guys, like, nothing over the top, stay back, don't bite, because they're going to run, like, either in that situation, they're going to run double move, or they're going to run some sort of pick route or something that you're going to try to get you confused. You're going to switch some people, and then he's going to hit you over the top. So you should be, especially with a guy that's undrafted, a rookie who came from the practice squad, like, you should be reminding him at all times, do not bite, nothing over the top. Like, you did not as coaching staff, they did not set up their player for the best possible outcome. They put him one-on-one on an island with one person.
One of the fastest guys in the league.
And I mean, it killed him.
And apparently he runs a 4.6 as well, from what I heard. The cornerback, yeah. So matchup nightmare. No, not Henry. Yeah, I guess Henry. Yeah. So, anyways, we'll go ahead and move on from that game because, as you can hear from us, we are very disappointed in the New York Jets. But as nothing new for this whole season. All right, Jacksonville and the Minnesota Vikings. Like Kirk Cousins put out a little bit of magic out of them again, and ended up winning this game. The Vikings look like they're trying to rev up for a second half run, and at the moment, it also looks like they have their rookie of the year as well with Justin Jefferson and the way he's been balling out with Minnesota. I know you, of course, seen what I put in the group chat with Justin Jefferson's stats for this year compared to Stephon Diggs. They've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks when it comes to the trade that they've made with the Bills and the Minnesota Vikings. I'll be honest with you, I feel like both teams won. I don't think one team won over the other. I think both teams got what they wanted and got what they needed. And moving forward, I think both teams are happy with what they got.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this. Both teams got what they needed. The Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs has been doing exactly what they needed him to do up there. And then with Minnesota, they lucked into selecting a wide receiver that he is performing well beyond his years because he is performing better than a rookie wide receiver normally performs in the league. So both teams definitely got what they needed. As far as for this game goes, we did say it was going to be close. Well, I said it was going to be close. You were kind of skeptical, but
I didn't know which Jacksonville team would show up. That's all.
Hey, it went to overtime. The Vikings won, and this is a scary thing for if you're a Tampa Bay fan out there. You should be scared. Let me tell you why you should be scared. All right, because Tampa Bay had a bye this week, so we didn't get to see Tom Brady throw any pick sixes, but. Let me just address this right now because guess who you're playing this week? The Minnesota Vikings. Guess who's right behind you in the standings? The Minnesota Vikings. So the last couple of weeks, you are playing two teams that are in the thick of the playoff race in the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. Then you have a divisional foe who's playing for pride, respect, and they got a coach who's an interim coach that needs to win games so he can get that head coaching spot twice in the Atlanta Falcons. So you got the Vikings this week, you got the Falcons next week, you got the Lions after that, and then you got the Falcons to close the season out. Tampa Bay better come ready to play because they're playing three teams that really need to close the season strong. Not to mention the Lions and the Vikings are actually just on the outside of the playoffs looking in. So they're trying to play into the playoffs. And by beating the Buccaneers, they actually make a better case of getting into the playoffs. So the Vikings needed this win. They got it, and I'm excited about it.
No, I agree. And moving forward, like you said, the Vikings have a very interesting schedule moving forward. Tampa Bay has a very interesting schedule moving forward. A lot of the NFC teams, honestly, have a very interesting schedule moving forward when it comes to playoff implications. And we talked about this since day one of this season podcast. When it starts getting to week 13, 14, 15, we are going to start seeing who's real and who's not. And this upcoming week, week 14, is very, very important when it comes to playoff seeding as well. Just a quick little fact as well. Justin Jefferson has 5 games with 100 yards receiving for the Minnesota Vikings, and that is a Minnesota rookie record. So, of course, beating Randy Moss, Chris Carter, those are good names or whatnot to be able to pass up on that list. So the sky is the limit for Justin Jefferson. Definitely. So I'm very, very excited to see how his future looks. All right, Bengals versus Dolphins. The Dolphins took care of business, beating the Bengals. The biggest news out of that game was the scuffle that ensued with Dolphins players amongst each other, and also with Brian Flores coming across the field and having a bone to pick with the Cincinnati Bengals head coach Zach Taylor because of the 2 punt returns.
Dirty hits.
Yes, the first one was bang bang. The first one's kind of bang bang, but because of the football we have now, they don't like those type of plays, and that's definitely understandable. The second one was just inexcusable. Second one was inexcusable. He tackled him before he even was able to receive the ball, and Brian Flores did not like that at all. With this win for the Dolphins, they of course keep pace with the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East, who I'm still of course looking out for, and we still have to wait and see week 17. And other than that, with the Dolphins, they fought hard. I love seeing them only give up 7 points because they only give up 18 points a game anyways. They took care of business. They need to score a couple more points moving forward. 19 points is not going to win y'all games, especially in this NFL. So,
well, let me just say this.
But if you're giving up 7, hey, you're going to win, right?
Yeah. Let me just say this. When I saw the brawl that took place, or the scuffle that took place, it kind of made me worry for the Buffalo Bills, only because I've been saying it. You hyping them up, and the Dolphins, they like when they're the underdog, right? When it's them versus the world.
Yep.
And to have your head coach come out and do what he did, I'm going to say he's not going to win very many fans outside of the football world or like casual fans looking in. But as somebody who's played the game, you included, X, you played the game. If your coach come out and stand up for the team like that, come out to protect one of your players like that, do you not think like that team is going to play for him? That team is going to play for him. That's a team that knows that their coach has their back, that he wants the best for them, that he cares about their safety, everything. Like, come on, people. Some people are going to be like, oh, well, all coaches care. No, not necessarily. Not like that. Not where he's willing to come out and possibly be ejected from a game to make a statement and let it be known like he had a problem with a dirty hit on one of his players. That for me is what scared me, because I was like, man, Buffalo Bills, y'all may have some trouble on y'all's hands when the Dolphins come in that last week if you don't want to wrap it up. So I definitely need Buffalo to wrap it up, because Tua and the Dolphins, I think they're really starting to come into their own. They're building a culture there in Miami. And even if they don't do it this year, I definitely might be on that train next year for the Miami Dolphins.
No, I definitely understand. And to be honest with you, we gotta keep an eye out on Tua. Fitzpatrick led the way again on Sunday to help them to this win, and we just got to make sure Tua is healthy and okay moving forward. We don't want to RG3 him. We don't want to see him turn into another RG3, because the organization wants to win games that they don't need, that they don't even really need to win, because you were never in the thick of things. So. Yep. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward with the Browns and the Titans. I'll go ahead and start first, since this is my team and whatnot. Everything that I saw from this game, honestly, just reminded me of the Pittsburgh Steelers game. When we watched that Pittsburgh Steelers game, the Steelers got out on the early lead against the Titans, and everybody thought, oh, look at the same old Titans. They're bums, and the Steelers are that much better. The Titans came back. Ended up losing by a field goal, of course. Last-second field goal that could have took the game to overtime. The Titans fought back in this Cleveland Browns game. It was just too little, too late. You can't go down by 31 points at one point in time. We were down 38-7. You're down 38-7. You can't expect to win a game or to just. I not even just expect to win the game, but just mentally put yourself back in the right mindset to be able to chip away at this lead when you're down by 31 going into the half. And like we talked about in the pre-show, this game was important for the Browns, but it also was important for the Titans. And the way that this game went, even though the score looks, it ain't that, but you only lost by 6 points. Nah, this game was not a game. The Browns dominated the Titans. The Browns did what they needed to do in Nashville, and much respect to the Cleveland Browns from a Titans faithful. But I will say this: if we was to play them in the playoffs, run it back. That's honestly how I feel. I'm serious. Run it back, because I feel like it was just one of those games. The same thing with the Steelers, where they caught us on a bad first half. It is what it is. Run it back. You can shake your head all you want to. Run it back.
No, let me say this. All right. First and foremost, Browns, I apologize. I will no longer refer to y'all as imposters. You came out, you beat a good Oilers team, and I think you have cemented yourselves with the Buffalo Bills as the best of the rest. And when I say the best of the rest, I'm talking about outside of Pittsburgh and Kansas City. I think they're the top two teams in the AFC right now. I think that Buffalo and Cleveland are two of the top teams outside of, the two. I think it's Pittsburgh and Kansas City, and then everybody else. And of the everybody else, I'm gonna put the Bills and the Browns at the top of that list because they came out and they proved that they can do what they need to do to win these games. And again, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, they're no joke. And when they are able to run the ball like they ran the ball, it opens things up for Baker Mayfield. And he proved in this game he can make those throws when he needs to make them. Now, will he do it consistently? We have to wait and see.
Man,
now,
look, let's be real, Ish. There were some wide receivers that were open to where I could have made those throws. I'm just saying.
I agree. I'm just saying he has to do it. We've seen Lamar Jackson not hit some of those throws.
You're correct.
That's the difference. Correct. If he can do it consistently, they actually will have a chance because of the running game that they have in Cleveland. Now, to address the Oilers, let me say this. I've been on the Oilers semi bandwagon. I'm gonna call it a semi truck because with Derrick Henry in the backfield, he's like a semi truck.
We call him the tractor.
Okay, so I've been on the Oilers tractor all season, and I've been giving them the praise that they need. Let me say this: y'all killing yourself. You cannot go down. Here's the problem. I like what you said as far as it was a bad first half. The problem is this was against the Browns and not the Steelers. You can't compare the game to the Steelers because the Steelers are clearly in the top two of the AFC and the Browns were not. So this is a team you should be beating if you want to compete for an AFC championship. And to come out and do that against the Browns concerns me. That concerns me that when you get into the playoffs and you play a team like Miami, who we're just talking about, who's pretty hot, if you have to play a team like the Colts, again, are you going to have one of these bad first half where you get yourself in a hole and it plays against your strength because your strength is running the ball.
Yeah,
and when you get behind like this,
you can't run the ball.
31, you can't run the ball with Derrick Henry because you're killing yourself at that point.
You're right.
So for the Oilers, I need to see drastic improvement before the playoffs start. Like drastic. That defense, they need to have a players-only meeting. They need to talk amongst themselves and figure it out. Because if they do this in the playoffs, I don't want to hear coulda, woulda, shoulda, or we were coming back in the second half. Like, no, you are a team that should be in the conversation. Like I said about the Browns, the best of the rest. You should be in that conversation. But right now, you're not. Right now, I'm not putting the Oilers in the best of the rest.
I'm not either.
This is a liability, and they proved it against the Cleveland Browns, no disrespect though.
You still are disrespecting them. That's the thing about it. Okay, I'll say this. I don't want. I think everybody this whole season been waiting for the Browns to be real, and I think this is that real moment that they beat us, right? So we have to stop dismissing the Browns and stop just over putting the Patriots, I'm sorry, the Pittsburgh Steelers on a pedestal because they are the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because a lot of people feel like their 11-1 record is a fraud. There's a lot of people that feel like they should have lost 2, 3, maybe 4 games already. So their record is their record. Their record is their record. And we have to wait and see how the rest of the season goes because next week the Browns play the Ravens. If the Browns lose to the Ravens, the Browns right back and, see, we told you so, same old Browns. If they beat the Ravens, it depends.
To me, it depends on how
they beat them or how they
lose or win. Like it depends on how they play the game. Because I still think that they actually are. I think they have one liability when it really comes down to it, and it's Baker Mayfield. Like let's just be clear about it. It's Baker Mayfield. That's the one liability that they have. The front four on their defensive side, among the best in the NFL. The running backs they have, that backfield, arguably could be considered the best in the NFL. So. I mean, when it comes down to Browns winning games, winning or losing, it all rests on the shoulders or the arm of Baker Mayfield.
You're right. Don't mess it up. Don't mess up the game for us, pretty much. All right, moving on to the next game, Lions versus Bears. And like we
I don't want to talk about this game.
Hey, neither do I because, like I said in the pre-show, every time I don't pick the Lions, they do what they do, and then when I pick them, they lose. So.
I dislike both teams.
I don't even know how this happened, but it happened.
I picked the Bears out of pure necessity, and we saw what they did. I don't even really want to talk about the game, to be honest. I don't think either team is that good. I don't like either team. I think that they are both mediocre teams at best.
At best.
However, they're in the playoff hunt because the NFC this year is just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Lions, they came out, they beat the Bears, which is good for them. And it puts them in a spot that, like I said earlier about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tampa Bay is one of the teams they have to play. If they come out and play and they beat Tampa Bay, it could put them in a better spot to get into the playoffs. So
True,
for the
true.
Lions now, it's time to be consistent because that's the problem with them, right? Like they're so inconsistent. And the Bears, we already said at the beginning of the season that they've been imposters the entire season, right? Like they started out with such a great record, but we all could see through it. And here it is, right here. You should have beat the Lions, and you didn't. So
No, I agree. Everything you said, I have nothing to say behind that. I really don't need to say anything, but we're just gonna go ahead and move along because this game does not need to be talked
I
about.
appreciate that.
So we're just gonna go ahead and move along. All right, Saints, the Drew Brees list Saints versus the Falcons. And the Saints end up pulling this game out. Good old Taysom Hill had one of the better games of his career so far, and end up pulling this game out for the Saints. And the Saints also clinch a playoff berth with this win. Um, since you picked the Falcons, we can go ahead and start off with you, Ish.
It was just a poor game. I mean, the Falcons had it. There were plenty of opportunities for the Falcons to win this game and make it more entertaining. And I just don't know what happened. It's kind of been one of those up and down seasons for the Falcons. Last week they put it on the Raiders, and then they come out against the Saints with Taysom Hill behind center, and I mean, just don't play well. Leaving receivers wide open in the end zone. Like, come on, guys. This is how you become a bad team, right? Like just making these terrible mistakes at the wrong time. And the Saints, they capitalize on it. I'm still questioning why is Taysom Hill playing over Jameis Winston? Like, I want to know what's going on with Jameis Winston in practice that they didn't have the faith in Jameis Winston to start.
3-0 so far, right?
I mean, he is 3-0, but at the same time, like when you got a guy like Jameis Winston there that you brought in, you would expect Jameis Winston to be getting playing time because Taysom Hill, while he is 3-0, he hasn't quite been convincing as their backup quarterback.
I agree. No, I agree.
So, I mean, I'm confused. I don't know where Jameis goes from here. Is he going to re-sign with the Saints and be their backup moving forward?
Well, I'll say this. This upcoming week, week 14, they play against the Eagles. Next week, they play against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that game will be very telling to see how good both teams are, the Saints and the Chiefs.
Would you be back for the Chiefs?
That's what I'm trying to figure out too. Timetable wise, I don't know exactly when he'll be back at either week 15 or 16. But I feel like Drew Brees has to come back before this season is over so he can get some type of rhythm and going into the playoffs. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know exactly his timetable at the moment when he'll be back, but I feel like he has to come in by at least week 16 or at least play that last divisional game against the Carolina Panthers week 17 to at least get some type of rhythm down. You know, Drew Brees is a rhythm guy. He's an OCD type of guy. He's always touching his helmet, always adjusting his shirt, always, doing certain things that he feels comfortable with because he's learned that from Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Those are the quarterbacks that was in his era. They did things a certain way. That's why Drew Brees does them a certain way. And just to piggyback on what you're saying with Winston, I don't know where he goes. We gotta wait and see what goes on with the Philadelphia Eagles. What they're gonna do with that. I know that Carson Wentz isn't gonna. They're not going to just let him go for free, right? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's a lot of question marks moving forward with quarterbacks and organizations. That's a good question. It's a really good question. All right, let's go ahead and move along with the Rams and the Cardinals. We went ahead and both picked the Rams for this one. The Bad Little Toddler almost had them in place to be able to help win this game, but and it shows sometimes. Kyler Murray is still a second-year player, and he ended up throwing a couple of late interceptions to help the Rams win that game and lock up that game. Do we both feel like we kind of jumped on the Cardinals bandwagon a little too early because of how good they were playing around week 8 to 12?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think they were playing well. I think they were playing a different style of football at that point. The defense was playing a lot better. The offense was a little more consistent, like you said. And I think the same goes with the Miami Dolphins and how I addressed them a couple weeks back when you brought up Tua and how they were playing and them possibly beating the Bills. You know, there is a difference in mentality when you are the underdog versus when you're the favorite team, right? And I think they just can't be the favorite team right now. Like if they are the favorite team going into the matchup, let's say the against the Patriots last week,
Mm-hmm.
they should have won that game. They weren't able to pull it out. There are some teams that just don't have that culture in place that even when they're the favorite team, they're able to come out and make these plays. They're able to come out and win these games. And in this game, it just was a bad matchup for them. I think that this is a bad matchup. Excuse me, is a bad matchup in their division because with Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, what do you do? Like, what do you do? There are some teams that are able to beat them, but I would say like you got to play a hell of a game to beat them. And I just didn't see that coming from the Cardinals. I thought that the Cardinals were still going to be, a little bit in their feelings after losing to the Patriots, and they were. They just weren't able to pull it out. Kyler Murray still has to grow. He's only a second-year player. I
Mm-hmm.
think that there may be still a year or two away
Mm-hmm.
from really jumping up top and being a contender. I think they're going to continue to be in the conversation and fight for playoff spots and, beat teams here and there. But like to consistently be a contender all year round, I think they still got like a year or two before they do that.
No, I definitely agree, and that's the reason why I stuck with the Rams about a month ago and saying we have to watch out for this team. They have the makeup of a championship team because they've been there, And then you add a guy like a Jalen Ramsey, and you add pieces to that team to help them, to keep that core that got them there, and then of course add guys that are hungry to get there even more too. You help build a very special team, and I feel, and I've said this for the last couple weeks. Watch out for the LA Rams,
Well, I think
the
part of that.
NFC Championship game. I'm just saying.
Well, I think part of that is that their rookie running back Cam Akers.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, the past 2 weeks or something, he has put up some good numbers, along with Darrell Henderson in that backfield. And if you can get a 1-2 punch like that, working with Jared Goff on the offensive side to go along with this defense and complement the defense, I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to look out for the Rams. But they weren't doing that earlier in the season, and that's where my skepticism came. Was like they didn't have the offensive pieces, but now that they're starting to round into it, they are getting a little scarier, and Seattle's got to be on the lookout.
Yes. And we're actually about to get into Seattle with the next game. The Giants and the Seahawks. This was, of course, one of the probably the biggest upset of the weekend. With the if not the Giants, then maybe the Washington football team. But the Giants end up beating the Seahawks at home too, 17-12, which was a very weird and odd score to have in a football game. But the Giants took care of business in Seattle. And to be honest with you, I am going to dismiss the hell out of New York Giants right now. What in the hell is going on in Seattle? Are we sleepless in Seattle right now? Are we at the Space Needle? Are we chilling up there, Russ? Are we making some shoes out in Oregon and whatnot with Nike Factory? I know what's going on in that Pacific Northwest. There's too much rain going on out there. Like, what's going on? I'm trying to figure something out because 12 points from cooking up Russ. Russ, we out here cooking from the Giants. 12 points against the Giants. I need some explaining. Explain to me, Ish.
I think that the Giants are rounding into playoff form. I think
Oh,
I think that that defense has been there all year long. When I go back and I look at their results, the defense has been there all year long.
just the offense.
The offense just hasn't been there because of all the injuries that they had on
No
that.
Danny Dimes anymore. No Saquon.
But I actually think without Daniel Jones, one thing that I know that I overlooked, Colt McCoy is not a bum.
He's
Colt
just a
McCoy,
backup.
he's just a backup quarterback that can
Yeah,
come in and play solid football.
solid football.
He
And
came
yeah,
in, he played solid football and led them to a victory. So I think it's partly my mistake and a lot of people's mistakes as far as overlooking Colt McCoy and thinking like, oh, they don't got Daniel Jones. That offense is not going to score any points because Colt McCoy is solid. He's a solid player.
To be honest, and my bad not to cut you off, my bad Ish. To be honest with you, it wasn't Colt McCoy. It's the whole Giants organization. I have no faith in. Honestly, I do not. I don't have no faith in the Giants organization, and I have no faith in the Giants offense without Saquon and Danny Dimes. Honestly, you can put in whoever quarterback you want. Danny Dimes ain't nobody that he's just gonna change the game. No, he ain't Josh Allen. He ain't Baker. He ain't Baker. Like you Danny Two Nickels. That's what I'm gonna call you. You Danny Two Nickels until you earn your dime. You Danny Two Nickels. So with that being said, to be honest, maybe Colt McCoy is an upgrade.
Potentially. I mean, it maybe, especially going into playoff season, he could be.
Exactly.
But Daniel Jones is coming back, so we're going to have to wait and see about the Giants. But, hey, let me say this.
I'm listening.
The Giants and the Washington football team, they pulling away from these other two.
The Eagles and the Cowboys. Yeah, good old look at that division. Just 3 and 5 win teams. Just got to love it.
Hey, they could finish 8-8.
Yeah, just I'm going 7-9. I'm gonna go 7-9 with that division. All right, Eagles and Packers. Packers went ahead and won this game. Even though this game went majority of the way that we thought it was going to go, the biggest story from this game is the replacement quarterback that went ahead and took Carson Wentz's spot. Jalen Hurts went ahead and they went ahead and put him in there. He threw a touchdown. First career touchdown in the NFL. And at the moment, looks like Jalen Hurts is starting for the Eagles in Week 14. But like I talked about just a couple of segments ago with the quarterback situation with not just the Eagles and other teams out here. Organization-wise with the Eagles, what are they going to do? Are they going to keep Carson Wentz and just literally play it until the contract, it is what it is? Are you going to let him go, pay him his money, and everybody start over fresh? I mean, because just with the Cardinals, we talked about with the Cardinals, they drafted Josh Rosen a couple years ago, thought he was going to be the guy. They literally got rid of everything and everybody the next year and got Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury and started over fresh new. So will the Eagles do the same thing? Will they get rid of Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz and get a new head, Eric Bieniemy with Jalen Hurts?
No.
And maybe Louis Riddick at GM? A lot of talk about that.
No. Because, and I'm trying to look it up right now because I saw it earlier. You make the point of Josh Rosen and the Cardinals getting rid of Josh Rosen. Mm-hmm. You got to remember, he was drafted the year before. He was on a rookie contract.
Yeah.
And it was easy for them to get rid of that, right? The Eagles, however, have put themselves in a terrible situation because they gave this man an extension after 2017. And now, if he's not on the roster as of like next
year, he's supposed to be owed $59.7 million.
And that's not only is he owed that, it's a cap hit of $59 million against the team.
To where, as an Eagles organization, you can't do nothing moving forward.
Yeah. How do you fill your roster when you got a cap hit of 59 if you get rid of this guy? And in the following year, if he's not on the roster,
about what, 38?
It's like $38 million cap hit.
Yep, I saw that yesterday.
Not only are you in a situation where you gave a guy an extension and he's not living up to the contract you gave him, but on top of that, you built the contract in a way that you have tied yourself to this guy for the next 2 years.
Yep.
Because even if you cut him, you basically have crippled your team because you can't do anything in free agency. Like, that money is going to hurt you in free agency. So while I was excited that Jalen Hurts got in, he got his opportunity because they've needed something different there. They just need something different at this time. I don't think that it's going to last a long time because even though you put Jalen Hurts in now, in the offseason, are you fully transitioning to Jalen Hurts?
Which they know they're not going to.
Basically just saying, like, we're going to put in Jalen Hurts now. We're going to let Carson basically rest for the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to put Carson back in starting next season. Because what do you do with this money? Like the money is the problem. They shouldn't have given him the contract. I mean, I just don't feel like he really had proved that he deserved that kind of contract. The guarantee.
What do you mean? He had a great MVP like 2017 season that led them to the playoffs, even though he didn't win a playoff game and all that good stuff.
He got hurt, and then the following year he got hurt, and then this year he got hurt.
He got hurt finally last year when he played a full season. He got hurt literally the first playoff game of their playoffs. Jadeveon Clowney came and knocked him aside of hit. Hit me.
Sam Bradford.
Oh, Lord. Ironic you say that. Sam Bradford did play for the Eagles as well.
I mean, think of Sam Bradford, drafted really high, kept getting large contracts. And
that boy made off like a bank robber in NFL. As Greg Turner would say, ski mask Hall of Fame.
I mean,
ski mask Hall of Fame. Yeah, you ain't lying on that one. Carson Wentz, he's definitely on that path. But I'll say this: I can't even say Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Sam Bradford either. Because again, if you look at Sam Bradford as a quarterback before the injuries, he was a better quarterback than Sam Bradford. Than Carson Wentz was.
I mean, he was putting up the numbers and he was more consistent, I would argue, than Carson Wentz. Like Carson Wentz, while he had a wonderful 2017, I think the rest of the time he's been up and down and pretty much
I agree.
Quarterback. So
I agree. And some of the throws I see him make, I'm just like, how can you defend it? It looks on par with Lamar Jackson. Some of his throws he make look like Lamar Jackson throws.
Man.
And if we're gonna get on Lamar Jackson, we have to do the same thing with Carson Wentz. Plain and simple. So for people that feel some type of way about, especially Eagle Nation that feels some type of way about how we feel about Carson, or anybody feels about Carson Wentz, look at the tape. Yep. Just look at the tape.
Watch it.
But anyways, that's here nor there. We'll see y'all next week, Eagle fans, with another L that you probably will take. Just like the LA Chargers took with this horrendous L. Again, if you watched in the pre-show, I did say Bill Belichick would have these guys ready to play in LA. I did not expect to have this type of butt whooping that they put on the LA Chargers, but apparently this 45-point loss is the largest deficit in LA Chargers history. And let's remember, this came from a Patriot team that has almost absolutely nobody besides Cam Newton. So, to be completely honest with you, Ish, this might be the straw that breaks the camel's back that allows the LA Charger organization to go ahead and let Anthony Lynn go, which I never wanted to see in the first place, but just the way that this whole season has gone, I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and unfortunately, it looks like Anthony Lynn will be a defensive coordinator real soon next year.
I try to pick the Chargers because I was trying to,
I know.
I was trying to support Anthony Lynn, and then they came out and they gave this performance. And I think I texted in the group chat during the game, and I said Anthony Lynn is gone.
Yeah,
in all caps, gone, because you can't have this kind of performance with the record that you have. I don't care what the potential is, but a performance like this doesn't show anything encouraging moving forward. And I definitely think Anthony Lynn, this is it. You're gone now. You just couldn't have this kind of performance. I know what happened. Bill Belichick against a rookie quarterback. I think I even said it.
You said it on the show.
I said
it on the show.
Bill Belichick versus a rookie quarterback. It's never been a good situation. And man, that defense came out and blanked them.
Yeah, I definitely was not expecting that performance at all from the defense, especially the way the Chargers offense has been playing all season long, clicking, and especially with Herbert. I mean, I think he has at least 4 300-yard passing games already. You would expect at least put a touchdown on the board at home. Again, this is in LA. They did not travel to Foxborough for this game. I will say this: shout out to Bill Belichick and that Patriots team, because next week they do have, and I'm about to look it up right quick because I know I just saw it. I'm waiting. They do have. Give me a second. My bad, I missed it. Patriots. Come on now. There we go. They play the LA Rams next week, so they will stay on the West Coast and they play the LA Rams. And I don't think they'll win that game. It is actually a Thursday night football. I'm sorry, it's a Thursday night football game. So that's what we'll be looking into
Tomorrow.
week 14, which will be tomorrow. Yeah, I apologize, man. It's Wednesday. Usually, I'm used to doing this on Tuesday. So tomorrow night, the Patriots play the LA Rams. If the Patriots can end up pulling off another upset and be 7-6, I will say this. Remember we talked about in the beginning of the season, who would have a better season, Bill Belichick or Tom Brady, because of the split? A lot of people, at first, a lot of people were on Tom Brady's bandwagon because of how good he looked in the first 8 seasons, the first 10 weeks of the season. Now that Bill Belichick is doing what he does best, which is get his team ready and prepared to play their best during December time frame, what happens if they both end up with the same exact record?
I mean,
that could happen.
They both needed each other equally.
I agree. And I think that was something that I stated from the get-go is they both need each other.
Yep,
but
I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get into Sunday Night Football. Broncos versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs end up pulling off this win 22-16, but it was not an easy one at all. Of course, being a divisional foe, there are games like that they're going to be hard fought amongst both teams. Chiefs ended up doing what champions do and end up winning this game. Since, of course, this is your team, you want to give us your spiel about what you saw?
I mean, it was a divisional game. The Chiefs did. I expected a hard-fought game because, it's the same division. Broncos play them twice a year. They're obviously going to play them pretty tough. The Chiefs didn't help themselves. There were a lot of drops. Tyreek Hill caught one in the end zone. Didn't tell the coaches that he caught it.
Yes, that was an amazing play.
Proved that it was a touchdown. That kind of stuff. So it was really just the Chiefs kind of hurting themselves against the Broncos. But at the end of the day, they won the game, so that's all that matters. Nothing really came from this game, I don't think. I think it's business as usual in Kansas City and just moving on to the next week.
Now let's talk about that non-catch that was a catch, because usually, sometimes it might be the opposite, but this was I don't know if you've ever seen this, but I've never seen a play where the player didn't even know he caught it. He knew he caught it, like he knew he had it, but I think he thought that the ball hit the ground first and then popped back into his hands. And watching the play at first, when the ball got tipped, I was waiting for the ball to get bounced because I didn't see it get bounced off the ground. And then when it was AJ Boye, I want to say that when he came up from tackling Tyreek Hill, you saw the ball in Tyreek Hill's hand. I'm just like,
I thought it was a touchdown.
Did he catch it?
Yeah, I thought it was a touchdown.
And then they showed a replay, and it's like he caught that ball. But here's the thing: Tyreek Hill didn't even know he caught it because when they saw the replay, he was like, "Whoa, I caught it!" But again, the Chiefs didn't even know because they went ahead and punted the ball away. They were talking about it on Sunday Night Football. The commentators, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth, was all like, "Wow, he actually caught! Whoa, they punted the ball away! Whoa, they should have reviewed it because if they would have reviewed it, the game would be 29-16. And the game would been a little bit of a larger margin. But that was, I think, and I know I'm going to get some slack for it. I think that catch was better than OBJ's catch on Sunday Night Football against the Cowboys.
Ooh. That's a difficult one to say.
That's fine. Hey, that's fine. And we might have to put that on the Sports Plug Facebook page, something like that.
Very different in like the difficulties because like catching something one-handed, falling backwards versus something that's been tipped.
We've all done it before. Just saying, I'm not trying to be that guy.
Oh, I know.
I'm just saying. I mean, if you're a wide receiver, come on, we've done those, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but we've made those catches before. Yeah, shit that Tyreek Hill did, that was like.
But I even said it. Remember, I said that with the CD Lamb catch.
Yes.
Like people don't understand those one-handed catches. You can do that if you're in form. You can do that easy.
That's all I'm saying.
Just into the ball, like and having to put your body in a weird situation to catch a ball is far more difficult than the one-handed catches. But
I agree. You're right. All right, let's go ahead and get into these Monday Night Football games. We had two due to the COVID pushbacks of these games. So we'll go ahead and get started with the Washington Football Team and the Steelers. And, of course, this might be the biggest upset of the weekend. The Washington Football Team taking down the not anymore undefeated Steelers. And the biggest thing about this game I think we should all take away is if we didn't give Alex Smith the Comeback Player of the Year award already for just stepping on the field, if y'all didn't see his bloody sock after getting a cleat punctured into his left leg, then I don't know what else he needs to do. Because there are people that still feel like Ben Roethlisberger need to come back as player of the year. No. It's going to Alex Smith. What Alex Smith has been able to do this season, to be completely honest, he doesn't need to win a Super Bowl. Alex Smith has etched his name in NFL history for being able to just be a solid quarterback and being able to defy the odds on and off the field, and just unfortunately he might not win a Super Bowl, but just being able to be a consistent quarterback, be a guy that we trust, believe, and come to work, bring your lunch pail, that type of guy, don't complain. And again, this guy's out here playing on a noodle leg and a fucking bloody ass leg, out here winning games. All you can do is just sit back and just respect this guy. That's all you can do. You got your sound, Ish. It's sound.
My bad. Alex Smith is a winner. He's a class act. He definitely is a guy that when you look it back on his career, you just got to hold your hand up and say, like, man, he is exactly like people like to always talk about busts. Guys that were selected early in the first round that don't live up to their career. Now, while he hasn't like won Super Bowls or anything, bruh, he's been consistent in getting teams to the playoffs, consistent winning games. Like, he has been the ultimate professional that when you talk to kids
about professionals and whatnot, that's one of them.
Professional, going in, doing your job, leading by example. This is that guy that you want to point your kids to and say, this is how you want to model your career. This is how you want to do it. Now, obviously, yeah, you want the accolades of winning Super Bowls and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you'd rather be the kind of guy that people look at and respect you in the organization than being some guy that just comes in all about yourself, all about making all this
the money, the fame, all that shit. Yeah.
This guy just comes in and does what he has to do. And man, I said it. Oh yeah. Let me pick a bone with you because you try to make it seem like I didn't say it. I said it on the show. In the preview show, I said I could see Washington winning this game, but I picked the Steelers because it would be ridiculous to pick against an undefeated team. I'm just saying, I predicted it. I said
so you ridiculous is what you're saying because you didn't pick.
Yeah, I should have picked them. I felt like they were going to win the game, and they did come out and win the game.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We, like you said before, woulda, coulda, shoulda, right?
Exactly,
so it's one of those things where, again, salute to the Washington football team and also the Cleveland Browns, and also I know I missed one more team. My bad. The Giants, and also the Giants for making these, or I'm sorry, getting these W's and making people believe the way that y'all believe in y'all locker room. All right,
the football team will win the NFC East. I still think they will.
Hey, unfortunately, we might have to wait till week 17 to figure out who's going to win that damn division.
I know.
All right, Monday Night Football again. Bills and 49ers. Bills went ahead and took care of business against the 49ers, 34-24. I'll be honest with you, I really don't want to talk too much about this game because I'm very interested to see what the Bills have next week. That's what I want to see them at their best, because they play, and give me a second, they play the Steelers next week on Sunday Night Football. So I'm very interested to see how both of these teams look next week. We have the Steelers coming off of a unfortunate L that they took to a lesser team, and you have the Bills playing really, really good football right now. You have 11-1 team against a 9-3 team. It's in Buffalo. So, or I should say, I'm at Orchard Park, New York. I don't know exactly where that's. I'm pretty sure it's a suburb. But anyways, that's what they say when they bring up the stadium. But I think that's going to be a very interesting game, the same way it was for the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans. They're going to be one of those type of games where we're going to really see who on both sides. Who's are the Steelers as good as y'all say y'all are? Or are the Bills real? I think this is a bigger game for for the Bills. You know, the Bill.
It's a bigger game for the Bills than it is for the Steelers.
It has to be.
The Bills are in a race for their division still.
That too.
This is an important game to win. Also, this is a game that builds confidence to let them know whether or not they're up there. Like I said, right now I put them in the best of the rest conversation. But if they can beat the Steelers, you know, they may enter into that conversation of maybe they're on their way to being in that conversation of the top teams in the AFC, and then, you know, it'll be everybody else underneath them. So, like you said, this game, it went how it's supposed to go. Bills did what they were supposed to do, but now moving into this week, this is the game that is really going to say a lot for the AFC playoff picture. It's going to say a lot for who the Bills are and who the Steelers are.
No, I definitely agree, and I'm very, very excited to see how this Bill team form at the end of the season. We shall see. We shall see. All right. Tuesday Night Football. Of course, if you checked out the game last night, Cowboys versus the Ravens. Ravens won 34-17. Lamar Jackson did what he did when it on the ground and also in the air. But the most telling thing about this game, an issue, if you want to explain why you're shaking your head right quick.
I'm shaking my head because the Cowboys should have won the game.
Go ahead.
I'm shaking my head because, I mean, the Ravens came out and did exactly what everybody told the Cowboys they were going to do. Just run the ball. They ran the ball for 294 yards. Like, come on. The game plan couldn't have been any easier to put together. Stack the box, make this man throw the ball.
No, you're right. I mean, you're right.
They didn't even have Dez Bryant on top of that.
And I'm happy that you brought him up, because that's the other thing that I want to bring up. The biggest news out of this whole game was the news that happened before the game. Dez Bryant apparently got pulled out of warm-ups and had to get tested for COVID, and apparently it came back positive. And with that whole situation going on with Dez Bryant tweeted about a couple minutes after he got pulled off saying that he was done with this and that he's going to quit football. I don't know how true that is. We all know how emotional a person Dez Bryant is. And at that time when emotions are raging, I can understand why he might feel that type of way. But when the dust settles, we'll wait and see what's
I think
the situation with Dez.
He came out and said, like, nah, he's good.
Okay. See, and again, at that time, I can understand why he's upset.
Oh, yeah, you're playing your former team.
Playing your former team, yes. On Tuesday Night Football, like, I want to play too. I understand, but I'm not about to go straight to Twitter and talk about I quit, and I ain't about to do all that stuff.
Yeah. This is where we talk about what we were just talking about with Alex Smith.
Yep, being professional.
See that kind of
being
stuff
professional. Being professional. And again, it's sometimes, you have to look at people from time to time and tell them, like, look, you're doing it to yourselves. Like, there's a reason why maybe, Dez, you haven't been in the league for a while. I'm just saying. So, anyways, another thing to look forward to next week is the Ravens will be playing the Cleveland Browns on Monday Night Football next week. And that will be probably, again, one of the better games to watch, because we get to figure out for both those teams who's real, who not. Real quick.
Tell you right now, I'm picking the Browns.
Okay, I'm going Ravens. I like I'm sorry. It's an away game for the Ravens. I don't know. I ain't gonna lie. I might have to pick the Browns. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see on the pre-show next Sunday. And of course, before we get up out of here, we're gonna check out the AFC playoff standings at the moment. Number 1, the Steelers. Number 2, the Chiefs. Bills at 3. Titans at 4. Browns are at 5. The Dolphins are at 6, and the Colts are at 7. With the Titans' loss over the weekend, they dropped from 3 to 4. Yes, sir.
The biggest thing to note from this playoff seeding: the Colts are sitting at 7. The Raiders are sitting at 8. They play each other this week. Yep,
and that's what I was about to get at, too. I'm happy that you brought that up, sir. Exactly like you said with that part. The Ravens are at 7-5. They are the 9th seed at the moment. The New England Patriots are 6-6, and they are not out of it at all. They can sneak into it as well. So, again, these playoff seedings every game is important. Every game is important. All right now with the NFC, we have the Saints at number 1, the Packers at 2, the Rams at 3 with their win, the Giants at 4, the Seahawks with their loss dropped to number 5, the Buccaneers at 6, the Vikings at 7, and the Vikings are at 6-6, the Cardinals are 6-6, and also the Chicago Bears are at 5-7 at the moment. So again, even with the NFC, nobody's playoff spot is secured at all, and we wouldn't be surprised at all if the Rams and Seahawks move as well.
Big game to note. Big game to note on this one. The Buccaneers and the Vikings are playing each other this week, so 6 and 7 are actually going against each other. Whoever loses that game, you're probably going to be on the outside looking in next week when we do the playoff seedings.
Yes, sir. Like Ish said, and he is definitely correct on that one. And hey, man, we get right back into the thick of things. Week 14 starting tomorrow on Thursday Night Football. Cannot wait. We, of course, will be doing our Week 14 preview show on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. So please make sure you join us for our Sunday preview show. For next time with Sports Plug with Ishmael Siryon and Xavier Williams.
Appreciate it.